Transient shapers are a very powerful tool, and they can be abused very quickly if you're not careful. But not having this tool inside of your tool belt is also a problem because it is so useful. So what is the sweet spot for using this tool? Hey, how's it going? Andrew Barth, Producing in the Box, where I teach you how to make incredible sounding music without analog gear, all completely in the box. So when I first understood what transient shapers were, I lost my mind over it. It was so cool, such a powerful tool. And then I started to really overdo it and all of my mixes sounded clicky. And then I quit using them for a while. And then I started to understand how it works, when I should use it, and be very careful while I'm using this tool. So before we get into this, I have a gift for you. If you struggle with recording vocals at home, just click the link in the description and download my free guide called The Ultimate Guide to Recording Vocals at Home. It goes through everything you need to know, start to finish, on how to get incredible vocal recordings at home. So without further ado, let's jump into the DAW. So here we have this little beat that sounds like this. And everything sounded pretty good, except there could be just a little bit more click to that kick. So what a transient shaper does is it will take a transient, which is a spike in audio, and it will increase the peak. So here's a transient right here, and then there is the sustain and then the release off of it. So there's a spike in audio, and then it starts to die off. And what we want to do is we want to take the peak of that, the very beginning, the transient, and we want to spike that up just a little bit more. So I'm going to load up a transient shaper. And this is Kilohertz Transient Shaper. It's also in the Slate Digital All Access bundle. And you can see as we drive the attack up, we're taking the transient of the audio and we're really making it poke out. And we can even do the opposite. So if a kick drum or something like that is a little bit too clicky, we can even bring that down. Then we have another knob here that's called pump. So the click can be really punchy and then it can dip, and then that sustain can continue out. Or we have control over the sustain, so we can actually bring it up. So the whole section of this audio we have control over. So let's take a listen to just the kick. So let's say we want to make that beginning poke out just a little bit more. So we're going to carefully turn this up, and I'm going to get real aggressive with it, and you'll be able to hear exactly what it does. So hey, this is Andrew editing the video from the future, or actually from the past if you're watching this. That doesn't matter. So as I was editing the video, I noticed that you can actually see what's going on in the transients in the audio. So I'm going to show you exactly what's going on. So as you can see, as I am increasing the attack, you can see the attack literally go up. And then as I bring it back down, it comes back down. Really, really neat. So that is a visual representation of exactly how a transient shaper works. Pretty neat. All right, now let's get back into it. See how it really, really pokes out? And it can really help it stick out in the mix. So now you can really go overboard with it, and I used to just crank this thing up constantly. But there's a couple other knobs here that really give it a little bit more control. And let's see what the pump does. As you can see, it kind of puts a belly here in the audio. So that way there's really just a spike, and then it dips. And let's play with that knob and see what it sounds like. So as you can see, it really kind of shortens the kick sample up a little bit. It's still punchy, still clicky, but it just kind of shortens everything up right after the transient. And then we have one more knob here called sustain. And let's play around with that. So what that basically does is it's extending the sample out just a little bit more, or it is shortening it off. And if you have like an 808 kick or something like that, and it's starting to like really have a lot of decay to it, you can just grab this and turn this down. But what I found is with just a little bit of a pump to kind of get out of the way of the bass and taking the sustain and bringing it up just a little bit more to kind of make up for it, you have this little belly here and a spike in the transient here, and then the sustain rides off. And it sounds like this in the mix. So that really helps it to stick out in the mix and really poke out. And you can do this on just about anything. And we are also going to do it on the snare here. So let's take a listen to just the snare. Now let's turn up the attack and play around with the knobs, and I will show you what this thing can do. Man, that really just kind of pokes out a little bit too much. But let's just take a listen to what this sounds like in the mix here. So as you can see, it doesn't need the transient shaper. In fact, it makes it really kind of obnoxious. So not every single track really needs this. So be careful with this tool, but also make sure that you have it in your tool belt, because it can really help a kick drum or maybe a snare or anything like that stick out in the mix just a little bit more if you really need it to.
Hey, it's me again from the future, but the more recent future than the last future me that you just witnessed a little bit ago. Anyway, I forgot to say, go create. So now, as always, go create.